How's it going? Hold on. There we go. Hello. How are you? You were the first one here, so let me know about audio. First one is always my guinea pig. I hope the maintenance guy doesn't come right at the start of my stream. I don't know if I want him to come like right now or like at the very end. I don't know what's better. Just real fast. I'm going to just post this a few times. And then all sounds good. Okay, good. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Yeah, this took, by the way, getting this little red, hi Darth Vader, getting this little red border around me, took a while. This took a minute, because it did on Canva, and so I basically had to like create the right kind of rectangle and then adjust the camera part to match inside the box. This is not a kind of default layout that someone else created. And so I had to make it myself, and you can probably see the little spaces, but I think I made it pretty good. And yeah, this is the first time I'm actually just using like an actual background image that my face is fading into. Cool chalk effect. Yeah, I thought the chalk was nice. I could have gone with just normal bold lines, but I thought the chalk was a cool choice. So I'm glad that you dig it. I'm just posting this real quick. All right, that's there. Excellent. What's up? Oh my God, he's got the dabs. Oh, you couldn't see Gervais. I'm so sorry. I would love to see Gervais live. Let's start recording this. This is for a video, and so I'm a little nervous because this is completely unscripted. So if I suck today, it's gonna be a shitty video. But I think we'll be okay. We're talking about cool stuff anyway. Yes, my 31 favorite horror films. My girl came up with the idea of doing 31 because it's 31 days in October. And I'm like, you know what? That's actually kind of a fun idea. Gonna see Dimitri Martins next month. Super excited. You should be. He's cool. Okay, test. All right, we're looking good. We gonna guess? You can guess. I think it would actually be fun if you guys guessed as I do this. So, you know, when this video goes up, you know, before you get to the end of the video, if you want to guess my number 1 or number 5, whatever it is, comment below. Arthur, it's good to see you. Maverick, great to see you. Okay, Deb. That's a bummer. Hey, you tried though. That's all you can do. Also just started uni, by the way. Oh, university? Very cool. I didn't know they allowed 14-year-olds in universities, but I guess it depends on the school. I just replied a few minutes ago to a very sassy comment on my channel. Sometimes I just can't, like, I when they're really toxic, I usually don't engage. But sometimes I just have to call people out. I always do it in a professional and polite way. And what's really interesting is when people get really sassy in my comments, I don't think they're expecting a reply. But I'm a smaller channel, so I actually do read every comment. And yeah, I actually reply to them. And what's really interesting, and actually kind of restores my faith in humanity a little bit, is that very funny, Deb. It's a good comeback. Since when were they not allowed? Also not 40. God, that's gonna be a bad day. So what's nice is that when someone writes something angry on my channel, audio seems a little high. Someone says something angry on my channel, and then I respond to them. Half the time they just go, "Man, I'm sorry, I was just being a dick." Like they'll actually kind of calm down, because I don't think they were really expecting someone to respond to them lashing out. So a lot of times they'll actually do that, and we'll carry on like a normal conversation. So that's why I like replying to comments. However, the other half of the time, the person just doesn't respond, and which is fine. But I don't usually get people who are toxic. I respond, and then they continue being toxic. And I think that's good. But anyway, someone commented to my channel saying they were upset that I didn't love the movie Veronica, because I just don't think it's that great. And they said that because the movie didn't get great reviews, that means it's great. Because American audiences are dumb, I suppose. It was a very anti-America kind of thing. And hey, we certainly have fucking problems, that's for sure. But I couldn't really let that stand. I just couldn't. It was just, I just found it so stupid. I'm like, okay, so anytime a movie is reviewed negatively in this country, that means it's a great film. Fuck out of here. No, Depp, no. I would never try to dox someone on my channel. I'm just here to talk about movies. Oh, cool. I got my first bit of spam. That's fun. Hold on. Every time. Depp, I think Depp is starting to be a masseuse. I mean, I'm assuming he's using it to seduce women, but I'm like, dude, your hair is good enough. I mean, you don't need to learn those powers too. I'm here with white wine, by the way. Ooh, very classy. I'm drinking a shaken espresso. Yeah, super great hacking. Anyone who knows me well knows I'm just an expert with things that are technical, especially computers, software, updates. I'm great with that. I really know how to troubleshoot stuff without freaking out and like panic messaging people on Discord. Yeah, totally me. Darth Vader says I'm going to guess that Thane is in the top 3. I would love to hear people's guesses. We're going to get this started soon, or else this is going to take like 6 hours. A lot of movies to go through today. So let me just start. This is for a video, so some sections might sound a little forced or scripted, but this is unscripted. So here we go. So, hey guys, really excited for Halloween season, and today I want to go through my top 31 horror films. So, the whole idea is that after this video, you'll have one cool horror movie to watch every single day of October. Would love, if you guys want, please comment below with what you think will be number 1. And as always, please comment below with your own list. This should be a lot of fun. And again, these are my, just quick reminder, these are my 31 favorite horror movies. These are not what I call the best. Big distinction. These are just ones I deeply love. Depp. I don't know, Depp. I was giving you a compliment, though. It's really funny, actually. I met some... You guys know... I've actually met Depp in person. And, Depp... I always pictured Depp online as being really immature, but then I met him in person. I'm like, oh, he's actually, like, a mature man. And it was just really funny, because, like, I almost couldn't put you in person to you online. They felt almost like different people. It was really interesting. And then with Alex, it was like the same. Like Alex online and Alex in person, I'm like, yeah, that's Alex. And then Era was more immature in person than what I pictured online. It's just funny how that happens. All right, so let's go through this. Not a fan of this song. There we go. Okay. Good evening. Hey, BBL, just in time. Okay. Do. And it's so gloomy out, I had to actually use a ring light for the first time. Yeah, I don't know if you can tell, but it's like blasted in my face. So if I look like this, it's because I have a bright light right in my eyes. Hey, Darth Vader. Hey, there's some football games tomorrow, for sure. All right, so let's go through this. My top 31 favorite horror films, and starting with number 31 is Hellraiser. This is my 31st favorite horror film. Just narrowly beating out Martyrs. The way that Martyrs copied, like full on stole a song from 28 Days Later, always leaves a bad taste in my mouth, and so Hellraiser takes it. But I mean, why even quantify it? This is just a great film. I love the soundtrack. The special effects still look, well, okay. The practical effects still look very strong to this day. Any issues with it? Let's see. Yes, at the end of the film, it literally feels like the filmmakers turned out their pockets and found nothing but lint, because the special effects get really bad in like the last 10 minutes. It just gets rough. And I do think some of the acting is a little melodramatic, but these are actually kind of small problems compared to just how fun this is to watch and how noteworthy it was for the horror genre. I mean, I love that it was at least the first kind of big mainstream movie to combine horror with S&M, and it really just dove in. It's so fun when a movie enjoys its own concept. You can tell that they're playing with it. All the ropes and the harnesses are off, and they're diving right in. This movie is horny. It is gross. It is extremely well made. Like I said, there's a great soundtrack to this. And another thing I appreciate about this movie is that it doesn't waste your time. It gets right into it. The first scene establishes something creepy. I love I really like the one of the characters, just his overall look and persona. You know, we don't need all this boring setup to a creepy movie like this. You jump right in, and from there, it's just strong setup, identifiable characters, a great villain and his henchmen. I mean, there's a reason they made so many shitty sequels of this and a remake, because just this whole horror S&M idea and the villains involved is so entertaining to watch. Darth Vader says this is my top 5. Very nice. Yeah, this is, I mean, if you, for like, it's surprising. Like, when I did this whole list, it actually surprised me how many body horror films made it into my top 31, because I didn't think that was a genre I was really in love with. But then I realized that when body horror and a story merge this well, it's just such a special kind of experience, because you can, all the practical effects, all the gooey stuff is so entertaining, yet you have this great story holding it all together. Not to say that Hellraiser is going to win any writing awards, but I think the story is, like, at least competent to get everything across. Like, everything feels even, all the motivations are established, and just like one little thing I particularly enjoy, the actor for the dad has to kind of play a dual role at the end, and I think the actor is better as like the evil version of himself. It's kind of hammy, but it is so fun to watch him do that. So yeah, kind of rambling here, but really just, I actually consider this a great film, and as far as just like my personal liking of it, it's the right amount of like horny and messy and spooky and just, I don't know, like tightly constructed. And if for nothing else, there's a attic transformation scene. I'll just leave it as that. And those practical effects look incredible. All the like the body work in this movie looks outstanding, and I feel like it doesn't get enough credit for that. Everyone talks about the villains and like the sexual aspect to this movie, and deservedly so, but like the whole team that did all that work up in that attic, it looks great. So that is my 31st favorite horror film. So much fun, and probably will rewatch it someday soon. The remake is actually good. Yeah, the remake was good. My issue with the remake is that, and this is one of the reasons I like this, is like this movie feels pretty tight, and the remake dragged for me a bit. And now I understand I was trying to get us to really identify with the main character, who's very flawed to the point of being unlikable, but it was dragging for me a bit. Like I was kind of checking my watch, and yeah, I don't know. It just, especially even during like the horror scenes, I was just kind of getting a little bored. It's not a bad movie though, and the director's great. Yeah, Depp, this movie, have you not seen this? depth. This movie is very horny. And it's funny because when movies get described as horny, it usually, like, you might get this idea of, like, it's classless or it's dumb, and there's plenty of, or maybe it's like one of those really trashy series where they just set people in the past and make them total horn dogs. There's plenty of shows like that, and those are just kind of crass and lazy. This is horny, but with so much purpose and so much intelligent design to it. Yeah. Would you describe Teeth as horny? No. I guess when I'm saying the movie is horny, I'm saying, like, there's pleasure in it. Like, the characters are enjoying it. Like, if a movie has a ton of sexual assault, I would not consider that horny. This is all about pain and pleasure mixed together. It's S&M. So the characters in the movie itself seems thrilled by the sexuality in this. And Teeth is just a bunch of, like, dudes being assholes and getting their dicks bitten off. I actually really don't like the movie Teeth. I don't. Not that it's bad. It's just, I think Teeth is the only movie I've ever seen where I thought it was actually sexist against men. Not because of what happens to them, but just, like, literally every male character is a rapist. I'm like, okay, sure, guys. Anyway, that's my 31st. We are just crawling through these. We gotta make this faster. All right. So, let's go with number 30. Number 30 is The Witch. I saw this in theaters, and I'm so glad I did. Hey, look, I know this one's not for everyone. A lot of these movies are not going to be for everyone. Horror is kind of a contentious genre. Like, some people are horror purists. Some people only like certain subgenres of horror. But, yeah, the Vivovich. Yeah, I know. But I thought this was a very well-made movie and actually did give me the old heebie-jeebies. Now, granted, like, I saw it the perfect way. I was in the back of a theater with my girl, and I think about, like, 2 minutes in, I actually had to put my hand over her eyes because I knew she was going to get nightmares. There's a really disturbing intro sequence, which I love. I love when a horror movie has a gut punch of an intro. Midsommar does as well. It's just, I don't know. I know it's, like, kind of a tradition with horror to hit you hard quickly, and I'm not saying every film's got to do it, but it's a trend I like. I think it's effective. It tells you to strap in. If I had any problems with this, I think it slows down a little bit in that middle act. I do realize that, I do respect how much authenticity they're putting into this, and I do think, in a way, it does make it scarier for me. It's more immersive. It doesn't feel like I'm watching a bunch of LA actors kind of wander through some lot, I mean, this actually feels like I'm on a farm, hundreds of years ago, and that helped the fear because I never felt like they were safe. I knew, I truly believed that they were isolated and, one bad crop season away from dying, so that helped. However, there are, in the second act, these kind of, like, longer stretches of old dialogue, and it does drag the film a little bit. So that's my only real issue with it, though. I thought this was very immersive, and my favorite use of ASMR in any film ever. I personally do not like ASMR. I don't find it relaxing. I find it kind of cringeworthy. However, the way it's used at the end of this movie is perfect. I thought it was a great choice with the audio, and it's, oh man, it was just, you love when a film, I love when you're enjoying a film and there's almost this part of your brain going like, I'm enjoying this so much. I know, I'm aware of how much I like this. Please do the ending right, and thankfully this does. Not that the ending was mind-blowing or anything, but the way they introduced a character, that use of ASMR I mentioned, the last few shots of the film are haunting. It actually did stick the landing. And for a first feature, I think that and just the look of the film overall is super impressive. Great score using the hurdy-durdy, I think it's called, hurdy-gurdy, something like that. Very, very old kind of folksy instrument. Really elevates the immersion and the fear factor in this. And it's just cool. this is just a cool movie that doesn't give a fuck. Also, not only does this have the best use of ASMR in a film I've seen, scariest goat ever. I mean, goats always look a little weird, but this is one of the scariest animals I think I've seen in the film, and it's not CGI. It's a real goat, and that thing is scary as shit. It's like the scariest thing in the movie is a goat. Black Phillip. Ugh. Really, really freaked me out, actually. He always looks like he wants to kill someone. I don't know how they got that kind of emotion and, I don't know how they got that kind of fury and this kind of look of depravity out of a goat, but they managed to do it. Chat, should I go see The Long Walk in cinemas or watch at home? I don't know. Yeah, that's true, Deb. I guess I haven't seen that many uses of ASMR in a movie, but I guess I'll rephrase it. This has my favorite use of ASMR in any piece of content I've ever seen. I usually do not like ASMR. I think it's cringeworthy, but in this movie, in that scene, it worked beautifully. Yeah, I agree, chat. I think director Robert Eggers did have a long talk with the goat about nailing the role. I'm sure he worked very closely with that goat. just picturing the director being like holding him by the horns, be like, "You can do this." And that's a good call out, Deb. They look like people also had good ASMR, although they kind of overdid it, but it was good. All right, next up. Where are we? All right, I know this is gonna bother people. I know this will bother people. They'll say it's too low, but again, if I was saying just pure quality, this would probably be higher, but this is just my personal liking of the film, and The Wailing is number 29. First off, this is a great film, and I think the only reasons it's not higher is because there's a couple things that still kind of rub me the wrong way when I watch this, because I've seen it a few times. I don't like the zombie scene, if we can call it that, and I don't like the use of comedy. I do think comedy can mix into darker work really well, and actually we see it a lot in South Korean cinema. I don't think it works here, and especially considering this movie has so much despair that I really don't think the goofier moments work at all. But that's me. It worked for a lot of people, so that's fine. Saying all that, I think this is a haunting and beautiful movie. I think what I love most about it, other than the main villain is fantastic, great acting, terrifying devil in this movie. Like the bad guy, his reveal, that's gotta be one of the best villain reveals in a movie. He's so terrifying. It's the scariest thing in this movie. Oh my god, just I don't want to spoil it, but it gets me every time. But apart from that, I love how they use the location in this, the landscape, the greenery, the topography. It has so much purpose for me because it makes this village look so isolated from everything else and overgrown. It gave me the sense that like the earth itself was kind of swallowing it up. I mean, everywhere you look, there's just like little huts and other pieces of, there's huts and other buildings just isolated and just stuck into the trees and everything else. And it just makes everyone look trapped. Like no one can get out. I mean, there's even there's a scene where someone is walking through all this greenery to get to a crime scene, and he's practically wading through it. And that always gives me the sense of, if I am in trouble, if I'm having an emergency, how am I going to call for help? Who's going to get to me in time? And it's almost like they're isolated from the entire planet. Like they have no way to reach anyone. I don't know. Maybe I'm digging too much into it, but that was the feeling this film gave me just by looking at it. Plus, it just looks beautiful. It's very well shot. Music is great. All the performances are excellent, especially the bad guy, like I said. This is a rough movie. I always describe this as the Deer Hunter of horror because it's long, it's heavy. You feel such like almost exhaustion and despair when it's over. But but sometimes like you want that. You want to sit down and be like, you know what? I'm wide awake. I'm ready to go on a journey, and this will definitely do that. Like I said, a couple nitpicks. Well, not even nitpicks, but I have a couple issues with it, like I said. But this is just such a powerhouse of a film, and I can't. I mean, it's got to be my top 31 just because I not only enjoy it, but I respect it so much. It is hard to sit through. I mean, it's just rough. Like the movie is, and like the movie just beats you. Like the movie's just like, this movie's mean to you. You know what I mean? Like anytime you think like, oh, this might go well, it just doesn't. It's creepy. It's sad. It's just tough, man. It's a tough movie. But it's a great one. Okay. Hold on. All right. Number 28. Hey, Dr. Juice, how's it going? Thanks again for Thanatomorphos, dick. All right, number 28 is Incantation. Yes, I like Incantation more than the Wailing. Yes, I like Incantation more than the Wailing. If I was talking about pure quality, these would be flipped, but I enjoy this movie more. I love this film, and it's so nice when you see a movie that gets promoted all over social media, and it's not a Bird Box situation. It's actually good. It's actually deserving of all the hype. And this movie, I know this movie got a lot of hype and good reviews, and I'm glad it did, but I still don't think it's getting enough credit as a found footage movie. I really don't, because I don't know, everyone's kind of focused on like the iconography and it was all over TikTok, but the ways this movie experiments with the found footage genre, I think is honestly inspiring and so needed, because there's so many found footage movies, and I've watched a lot of them, that just kind of coast, and this movie is not interested in coasting. Yeah, this movie's not fucking around, exactly. Also, Noel, I'm supposed to watch Pan's Labyrinth because we started for it, and I couldn't make myself watch it again because of it's depressing. Oh, interesting. I didn't find Pan's Labyrinth depressing. I found it quite beautiful. But it's sad. I mean, it does kind of end in tragedy. Yeah, I mean, I talked about this movie so many times on my channel, I feel like I'm just repeating myself. But I'll just quickly say that I respect and enjoy so much how much this movie experimented. I am still, to this day, I am still blown away by the fact that they managed to put a montage into a found footage movie. I have no idea how they made that work, but it worked. The makeup effects look great. They do spend the time to make sure you understand the main character's motivations. You like her, you understand why she does what she does. It also, there's something about a movie involving parenthood being in found footage that makes it more intimate. When you're watching scenes with her and her daughter that, you know, she's trying to retain custody of, watching them together in found footage is really interesting because it's like you're a fly on the wall, and these interactions between them feel so natural and loving. And even like the nervousness that's there of her trying to make sure that she's a good mother, like it's so intimate. You almost don't want to watch. You want to give them privacy, but it's enthralling. This is also a scary movie. I love the village sequence. I thought it was great, the way it builds up. There's some haunting imagery in this. I love the ending, and this movie starts out great. It starts with like this immersive game with the audience. So there's, yeah, like I said, there's a montage, there's fourth wall breaks, there's great symbolism and makeup. It's always doing something new. It's not predictable, and it's doing these things well. So, yes, no, thank you for reminding me that. Yes, and favorite scene in this movie, honestly, favorite scene is just one image of, I don't know what, it's like these religious markings, and there's a chant going on in the background, and the words of the chant appear on the screen. So it's basically a still image, and it goes on for a few minutes, and I was just so hypnotized and locked in because it's a great image. The chant is so catchy and haunting at the same time, and yeah, I could have watched that for easily double or triple the time, and I still would have kept my eyes glued to the screen. And the fact that the movie wasn't scared that you were going to look away, wasn't scared that you're going to check your phone. And I'm getting so tired of movies, F1 for example, that feel like they need to constantly change cameras and add a music bit here and have people clarify things that we already fucking know, and because they think we're dumb. And some people are dumb, but not all of us are. And if we're going to sit down and watch a movie, and especially if there's dramatic elements, you should trust yourself to tell the story well enough without having to pander. And Incantation doesn't pander at all. It's not that it's overly complex. It's not that it's, confusing or pretentious, but it doesn't treat you like you're an idiot. And it's willing to experiment and do weird stuff. And I very much appreciate that. It's entertaining as hell. I still remember the scene of her having to starve her daughter and guiltily eating food outside her room while crying. Yes. Yeah, Parenthood. It's really interesting because a lot of movies will give someone a child and that's all they do. It's like, okay, you automatically sympathize with them. But this movie really shows a complicated relationship of a mother and a daughter, and how sometimes you feel like you have to do something. How do I put this? Sometimes a parent has to do something they feel is unkind in order to keep their kids safe. They can't always be the good guy. They can't always, make the kid happy in the moment. Sometimes you have to do something that's responsible. And there are tough decisions the mother has to make in this movie that are extremely painful for her, but she feels like she has to do it for her child's safety. And it's hard to watch. The acting is really strong in this movie, and I love the mother-daughter relationship as well. There's a surprising amount of dramatic tension in this movie. There's a lot of love between characters, and you wouldn't really expect that from a found footage movie, but I bought into it completely. Anyway, great movie, playful movie, scary movie. I love it very much. I will always talk about this film. Wow, I really need to go faster. Okay. 27. Yes. Number 27 is Shudder, the original one from Thailand, 2004, I believe. This film is just great. I've talked about this movie several times as well. So I'll just say that I think I originally compared it to the game Fatal Frame mixed with I Know What You Did Last Summer. So there's guilt over an accidental murder, and it manifests itself in this, evil way. But what I really... can we talk about the red YouTube thumbnail ring in the poster? Oh, yeah, yeah, right. What Shudder does that I like so much is that, and a lot of horror movies do this, and I think it's a pretty smart call, which is you establish this one kind of concept and you explore it as deeply as you can. So Shudder's main concept is photography, and it turns over every rock it has. It turns over every rock to play with photography in horror. So there's a scary scene in the Red Room. There's a scary scene with a Polaroid camera. There's a bit with a flash bulb, or just a flashing photo shoot. So okay, Noel, have fun. Thanks for swinging by. Yeah, and so it's doing so much with this core concept, and I know it makes the movie compact. It feels organized around this main concept, but it's always playing with different things, so it's never predictable. The ending is horrifying, the climax where, the kind of this entity is kind of really shows herself. there's some really disturbing imagery in that finale, and the actual ending, when you realize how it manifests in the main character, isn't just scary, but it's really sad. It's such a great, it's so conceptually interesting, and I love all the hints that lead up to it. Just such a horrifying, tragic final image in this movie. This is also this movie, I think, does the best jump scares, at least consistently, because there's a lot of jump scares in this movie, and a lot of times movies, when they have, you know, like 4, 5, 6, 7 jump scares, they're usually pretty lazy. It's kind of like a crutch, but this movie really nails it. They build up the jump scares well. They're creative. The images themselves are very scary. So I've never seen a film that had this many jump scares and it never bothered me, because they were so good and they did freak me out. So yeah, this is just an awesome film. I would highly recommend it. It's a great like night rental with either friends or a loved one. It's spooky. It's actually one of the scariest films I've seen. I've not seen the remake. I can't recommend it. I saw the remake of Pulse and it's bad, so I can't recommend it. But yeah, this is a dope film. I will always shout this one out, because how it plays with its concept and how well it does it, the fact it doesn't make jump scares annoying, the strong lead performance from the actor, the ending, there's just some good shit in this one, man. This is a fun, spooky film. Really like it. All right. Let's see. 26 is Kill List. So, there's a lot of ways to describe this movie. It's multiple genres. It's a hitman movie, it's a family drama, it's a cult horror film, it's a descent into madness, it's a character study. There's a lot, right? And it's a very strong script kind of holding all of this together. It does start a little slow, but other than that, I don't really have any problems with this, and it only gets better and faster and more manic as it goes. So like I said, a lot going on with this film. But the way I like to describe Kill List is that it's the coolest horror film I think I've ever seen. It's just cool. And not that there's people walking around with sunglasses cool. I mean that it's doing interesting things. It doesn't give a shit about whether it's, you know, too scary or too violent. And weirdly enough, as violent as the film is, the film feels tasteful. It never, as rough as it is, it doesn't feel overly like gratuitous. I don't know, it's just interesting. It's just rad. The journey this character goes on, how the two friends talk to each other right before going on like going to murder someone. It's almost like Pulp Fiction, except they're even more lethal to me. These characters joking and stuff and then zeroing in on a kill is kind of upsetting to watch. There's moments that are very funny, like when the main character kind of bullies someone with a guitar in a hotel lobby. There are scenes that you can't even watch, like one featuring a hammer. And then the ending is just terrifying. It's just white knuckle fear. So it sounds chaotic. There's a lot of things happening, like I said. But the fact that the script can hold it all together, doesn't go off the rails, and also with all the changes still feel justified, I think is the mark of a very strong narrative. So I don't want to spoil too much about the film, because it's something I recommend to a lot of people, and I would highly recommend it. There's nothing really else like it. It's very much its own thing, its own mix of genres. It's just, like I said, it's just cool as hell. I'll take a sip of my coffee. 1 second. I'm still waiting for people to guess my number one. I think someone said The Thing was in my top 3. You might be right. All right. Oh, man. This one's going to piss people off. Yep. Number 25 is The First Omen. Oh boy. yeah. I already know people don't like this. A lot of people probably didn't want to see it because it is a prequel to the original Omen. And when I heard about this movie came out, I had a very similar thought. Why? Why are you making a prequel to the Omen? Isn't anything original anymore? Is nothing sacred? And then I actually watched it, and I went, holy shit, this movie has a voice. This is clearly a first-time director, not because it looks sloppy, because it doesn't. It looks very polished. But because it has that fire, that energy of a newer director who's hungry for a movie and willing to try new things and show scenes that might feel familiar, but in a completely different way. There's such a diabolical atmosphere to this movie. There's so much beautiful use of cinematography, of editing. I mean, the angles they use for some of these scenes just elevate everything. With a less talented director, this could have been mediocre. I mean, the story's good. It's your kind of basic possession movie, but with Arkasha Stevenson, the director, this manages to be almost psychedelic. It's trippy. It's surreal. It's very haunting in moments. There's some terrifying imagery. The music is great, but in almost every scene, there's always this sense that you're in some kind of dream turning into nightmare. Like, there's a scene where someone's bed is floating towards the ceiling. The way the camera follows, like, there's a POV shot as she's taken into, like, this, I won't spoil it, but some kind of surgery. And it makes you feel like you're in, like, a nightmare. Like, you're passing between worlds. You're discombobulated. The lighting is beautiful. They managed to capture that kind of golden Italian countryside look. What else? I think her name, Nell Tiger-Free, the lead actress. She's great. The intro is fantastic. I was so happy it started well because I was watching this with some doubts. And then they made this glittery, almost pretty kind of death scene, but that also had this haunting choir music in the background. It was such an interesting, like, juxtaposition of different elements. And the moment I saw that, I went, okay, this one actually has some flavor. That's how I want to describe this movie. I mean, I can go through individual scenes. I mean, there's one shot of an eyeball. I don't know if it's real or CGI, but that shot goes on for so long, and it does such a great job making you understand the character's terror. You know, she feels like she's at the end of the line. There's nowhere else for her to go. But I think that's, like, the best way I can sell it is that it has flavor. Yes, it has, beautiful cinematography, especially the lighting. And it's done in scenes that don't necessarily need it, but it's there to give you that kind of dreamlike feeling. And that feeling is present almost everywhere. And for me, it creates the effect that it's like a curse has been cast. It's from the very beginning, something is wrong, something is off kilter, off center, and that feeling lasts until the finale. And that feeling is created through the music, the cinematography, and the directing. I could talk about this movie for hours. There's so many great decisions in this film, especially with the lighting, the camera work, and that lead performance. I mean, it's just, I think most people thought this was going to be some sellout, nostalgia bait prequel, and it's made with so much purpose that I'm so glad I pushed my doubts to the side and gave it a chance. And yeah, you should honestly watch this. Also, there's 2 trailers for this. Watch the teaser trailer. There's no dialogue. It's very short. There's only music and nothing else. And everything's backwards, and it creates this really eerie effect. It's such a cool teaser trailer. Anyway, this movie's great. I love this movie. So glad I watched it, and I personally think it should have been nominated for 1 or 2 things, maybe cinematography. It's a gorgeous film. All right, number 24. It Comes at Night. Well, if the last movie didn't piss people off, this one sure will. A lot of people hate this film, and I actually understand why. Number one, I could understand how the ending might be unsatisfying for some people. It worked for me, but, you know, everyone was waiting for some kind of monster to show up in this movie. I'm not going to spoil anything, but if you're wanting a monster film like the very misleading trailer promised, you're not going to enjoy this. This is not a monster flick. This is a post-apocalyptic movie. And this is closer to like The Road than a monster film or even most horror films. This is about despair. This is about uncomfortable alliances. This is about survival. And this is especially about paranoia. And so if you like that, as awful as that may sound, you gotta watch this. It's gorgeously shot. I found this very unsettling, although part of that was because I saw it in a theater literally by myself. And it's like, its hopelessness and paranoia actually gave me the creeps. Also, Alexa, welcome to the stream. The acting's fantastic. I actually think Joel Edgerton killed it. I didn't know he had this, like, I didn't know he was this strong of an actor, but he has so much authority in his presence in this movie, and every emotion from him I completely bought. Oh, this is like Smooth Jazz 109. There we go. Yes, Step, I know which one you're talking about. Yeah, I mean, this is a depressing movie, and it establishes it very early that this is going to be a rough ride. But I'm glad it sticks to it. And it's, oh my god, it's just so believable. It's so immersive for me. It very clearly establishes this kind of environment and this kind of tension. And the fact that things get more and more tense, where you don't even know who you can trust, is like the right kind of unease and paranoia that I like to watch in the film. It's like, yeah, it's not like The Thing level paranoia, but what I like about this, hey Alex, how's it going? What I especially like about this is that you have a movie like The Thing, which is all about mistrust, right? What's interesting here is that there's so few characters, and you're still not sure who you can trust. And in a way, it almost makes it more tense, because it's like, well, how am I mistrusting of these people? There's like 6 of them. None of them seem, mean or anything like that. And it's never purely happy. You never feel purely safe in this. Everything's rocky. Everything's just about to tilt into something else. And all it takes is like one look or one sentiment, one mistake, and immediately everyone starts mistrusting each other. And like that kind of tension is, beautifully escalated in this film. Like I said, it's a tough one. This is not a happy movie, but I was basically just like not breathing when I was watching this. I was so locked in emotionally to this. And adding to like, plus acting is great, cinematography is great. Certain shots are still kind of locked in my brain, like viewing someone through a car's review mirror, which number one looks great, and number two matches this mistrust theme that's carried throughout the film. It's so annoying how badly this was marketed, because I think it's great. Oh, Alexander. I hope I pronounced that okay. Movie is very believable human behavior. Yes, good point. Yes. I bought the way the characters acted. There was never a moment when I went, oh my god, what an idiot. It made sense. Their procedures, how they interacted, the rules of the house, it all made sense for this kind of world. And that is so crucial for immersion. Nothing broke the immersion for me. Opening scene. The opening scene with the body. All right, here we go. 23. I'm actually forgetting my list now. Like I don't even know what's next. Oh, this one's good. 23 is Cairo, also known as Pulse, which is directed by directed by Kiyoshi Kurosawa, who also directed Cure. And this one's just, oh man, this is such an interesting movie. It's one of those movies that is slow, and I think that kind of pacing is an attribute for this. I've seen so many movies, so many horror films that are deliberately slow, and they just don't really work for me. And I know they work for a lot of other people, but they just don't for me. I'm not engaged. I feel like it's just dragging it out because it makes the film seem more important. And I find it more lazy and frustrating than anything. Cairo does it right for me. The slow pace, the slow camera moves, and the way the ghosts move, it's all sluggish. And it comes across as otherworldly. It comes across like something's not right, and like there's the hauntings are sort of closing in very gradually to these people. I also think this is my favorite kind of combination of tech and paranormal together. I think both aspects are weighed very well. Like they merge well. They work both, like they work isolated as well. It's kind of like two for the price of one. Like you get very creepy ghost scenes, and you get creepy scenes involving like these old monitors, and it almost looks like kind of like dark web, seedy underground kind of video content that I always find kind of terrifying. So, and another thing that Kurosawa does in a lot of his movies, and this works especially well here, is that there's barely any music. And so when characters are talking, and the camera's like either, the camera might be kind of moving slowly around them, and they're just speaking, and there's just so much emptiness around them. And for me, like, to me, that kind of encourages us to like listen to everything, to watch everything, try to see what is going to fill the space. And that kind of emptiness does give me this, like, it's not just eerie to me, but it gives me the sense that something else is going to kind of occupy that. Yeah, it's unsettling. This is not a jump scare movie. This is not like a fast food movie. This is not a fast moving horror film. Nothing against those, but this is a very particular kind of horror that really just slowly creeps on you, and you get more and more invested in what's happening, but also you have no idea where the narrative is going. I do think the ending has some pretty shoddy CGI, but aside from that, I love how the ghosts are actually portrayed in this. There's a hallway sequence in this movie that is notorious, at least for like hardcore horror people, and if you haven't seen it, you can watch it on YouTube, but I would highly recommend watching the film itself to kind of lead up to it, because it's one of those very simple horror scenes, but so deeply effective because it's so weird and slow. I feel like I'm not selling this well. I'm just describing how strange and slow the movie is, and it probably doesn't sound good to everyone. Also, Depp, I have not. No, I actually stopped watching it, but I probably should get back into it. But it's the kind of fear of fuck me. Hold on. It's the kind of fear where it's all kind of, I don't know, it's creeping up on you, but it's also the kind of movie that encourages you to look around the frame. And there's oftentimes actually kind of spooky stuff in the frame, in the background. You're always kind of looking around because there's so much of that emptiness. There's a library scene in this movie where all the background characters are in shadow, and you're not sure whether that's an actual person who's sitting at that table or some kind of spirit. So that uncertainty also adds to this fear that you don't know what's around the corner, you don't know what's about to creep into the frame, and you just don't know what's going to happen. So it's that kind of movie. Like I said, not going to work for everyone, but I think this is one of those movies where the slow pace really emphasized the fear. I found this very scary, especially some choice sequences, and I just found it so hypnotic too. You know, this is a special kind of movie, and it combines the paranormal and tech better than pretty much any movie I've seen. So, you know, if that sounds good to you, I would watch it. I think eerie is really the best word. This is an eerie film. All right, who could have predicted this would be here? Yeah, Gonjiam Haunted Asylum. I'm gonna keep this very quick because I've done a whole video about the first act of this movie. I've done shorts about this. It's shown up in my horror lists. Yeah, I've talked about this movie ad nauseum. But this is one of the scariest films I've ever seen. And what's funny is it's probably the only film where it scared me more on the second time, because when I was watching this, I and probably many people thought the first act was a bit too slow. I felt like, okay, I understand you're setting up these characters, but it doesn't feel like it's progressing very much. And even when they get to the asylum, it still feels like there's just like a lot of setup, right? And then the second, third act get very scary. But watching the second time, the setup worked better for me. Not only because I was more invested in the characters. This is not the kind of movie where you hate everyone and just want them to die. That's not what's happening. Hold on. But I realized that a lot of this setup was coming back later. So like, it was almost like they're setting you up. They're introducing these different kind of camera angles, these different pieces of equipment, and then they used every single one of them in the second and third acts to terrify the shit out of you. And so in that sense, the setup made it scarier because it was kind of almost like foreshadowing without even realizing it was foreshadowing. So watching the second time, I was like, oh no, that's gonna come back later. Oh no, that thing. Oh no. Like, it became more of a anticipation in that first act, watching it again. Yeah, also, this is, you wouldn't, I don't know if I would really call, I don't know if you'd call this found footage or not, but this is a live stream movie, so, you know, a huge chunk of this movie takes place during a live stream. We also see what happens when they turn the cameras off, or they go back to the production tent and things like that, and it feels so genuine. And what I like about it is not only does it feel so real, the way the characters talk when they're on camera, the way they set things up, but it also means that they can get great shots. Like, there's some really nice shots, and because there's so many cameras and there's so much equipment, that it can create different kinds of scares. There's a lot of ingenuity with the creep factor in this movie. I'm already talking too much. The movie is scary as shit, okay? I'll just leave it at that. It is terrifying to watch. The second act is scary enough. The third act is just like, oh my god, it's just nightmare fuel, and it doesn't let up. It's such a reward for all that setup, because it just hits you over and over with something scary. Oh man, it's something. It is unrelenting with its fear. Any ghost movies? There's some ghost movies on my list here. Yeah, for sure. I hope you're not too afraid to visit the loo. BBL, you silly. All right. 21 is It Follows. I saw this in theaters, and I'm so glad I did. This, you know, it's the kind of movie. First off, I know there's a lot of people that don't like this. Some people don't like the sexual angle of this. I feel that some people think this is like an anti-sex bit of propaganda, which it totally isn't. But, all right, Alexer, come back soon. What bothers me is when people just say, oh, It Follows, that movie's shit. I'm like, well, I mean, even if you don't like it, you gotta admit, like, the movie looks nice. It's very well shot. It's shot with a lot of purpose. The soundtrack, you have to give me at least as interesting. I mean, I love the soundtrack. It's disturbing. It's a mix of kind of 80s synth, but also kind of chiptune. And then, yeah, Alex, exactly. And also, I think Maika Monroe does a fantastic job in this movie. I completely bought how scared she was of this threat, and that is essential for this to work. But all that aside, what I really like about this movie and why it's high on this list is that its core concept is something I'm a little surprised hadn't been done yet, which is something is marching after you. It could look like anyone, and doesn't matter how far you get, eventually it'll catch up to you. So it's the ultimate feeling of looking over your shoulder and never really being able to sleep well. And that terrifies me. I mean, people, it's like one of those classic things of, I'll give you $1 million, but out there's like a snail that if it touches you, you'll die. And you can go you can go to China, but eventually it'll catch you. I would say no, absolutely not. I can't. That grabs me, that kind of horror. Like, that really sinks its claws into me, that whole feeling of never being able to relax and always having to look over your shoulder. And that's what this movie is like from pretty much start to finish. And so that conceptually very much worked for me on an emotional level. And it's also because, you know, the way a lot of these shots are framed, they encourage you, similar to Cairo, they encourage you to look in the background and start to mistrust anything in the background. Could it be that? Could it be over there? It's a movie that's inviting you to kind of scare yourself as well. Yeah, it's just a cool movie too. It's one of the best horror intros I've ever seen. Music is great, acting is great, it looks wonderful. I love how it's, you know, using some of the 80s nostalgia in its music and style, but it's still very much its own thing. It's a colorful movie, and just that main horror concept I found so effective. So, number 21, It Follows. Love this film. And also, for a movie that's $2 million, looks pretty damn good. It's a pretty polished film. All right. Uh-oh, come on. There we go. Number 20 is Perfect Blue, directed by Satoshi Kon. This movie is awesome. It is the only animated film to scare me, at least one that's not a short film. And I think a big part of that is the editing, which in Satoshi Kon fashion is deliberately kind of chaotic in the sense, like the shots are always kind of bleeding into each other, which makes it feel like the horror is never really leaving, if that makes any sense. Everything's kind of connected. It's like this ongoing, you know, flurry of violence, of sex, of paranoia. And if you see this, Black Swan will feel very familiar. Now, spoiler, I do like Black Swan more than this film, but it's a really tough call because as similar as they are in their plots and, you know, some of their visual language, the effects are quite different. And Perfect Blue was a much more kind of, it was a stranger experience for me. Like some of the images that are in this and the characters themselves were just so, I don't know, they were just off in a good way. I think a big example is because this is about a girl who's moving from music to like TV and film, immediately you start to worry about her because you feel like all these kind of creepy men are controlling her, salivating over her, and it makes her so vulnerable. Ooh, Ben Grimm, that's cool. I think what I really want to focus on though, like, there's so many great things in this film. The animation is beautiful, the editing is purposeful, but I gotta love the music in this. It's so good, and it's just so well used. There's a lot of variety in it. So like when you first start watching the film, she's a pop star, so it's like all this kind of very hyper and happy kind of it's not K-pop, J-pop music maybe. But it's just like, it's all very hyper and colorful music. And then when we cut to the stalker characters following her, it becomes this deep ambient sounds, almost like pipes and hallways kind of sound. And it's such a reversal, and it immediately puts you on edge. The faster music works too, and the action scenes. There's the whole climax of this movie is very intense, and for some reason, like, the way the villain kind of glides unnaturally as she's chasing the main character just really creeped me out. If you like horror and you like animation, this is a must-watch. It's just such a gorgeous film. And I remember reading that people didn't understand why this was animated instead of live action, but the kind of editing that's used here, it's so much better in animation. I don't think this would work in live action at all. Although Black Swan, they kind of did. Yeah, this movie is so weird, but it's also so intense. I mean, it's fun. It's creepy, but it's fun to watch. This is a fast moving film. It's got real fire in its belly. All the violent scenes hurt to watch, even though it's animated. So which is pretty impressive in my opinion. And just the way characters move not only feels so realistic, but there's such violence in it. It's just, it's so great. It's just so great. I don't know what to say. It's such a fun movie. How is everyone doing? I have to go like 25 minutes. Going to a film party soon. Very cool. Is that anime? Alex says. Technically, it's Japanese animation, so it's an anime. It's a great one too. And there's no pointless exposition. Yay! They managed to avoid it. Let's see. All right, we're getting into we're getting past the top 20 now. Oh my god. There we go. Number 19 is Cure. Also, similar to Like Cairo, this was directed by Kiyoshi Kurosawa, and like Cairo, this is creepy and good. Some people would argue this is more of a thriller than horror, but I would consider this horror specifically because not only of some of the images, especially one towards the end, which is horrifying, but because of the overall effect that it gave me, felt like horror. A thriller is cool. A thriller makes you feel tense. Cure made me feel very uneasy, made me feel creeped out, and maybe feel hypnotized by something malevolent. And which is, I mean, granted, this is like the whole purpose of, it's like the main conceit of the film. This is easily the best use of hypnosis I've ever seen in the film. It feels not only very realistic, but its simplicity is what makes it scary to me. And the film is able to have these long shots, long scenes of very simple, direct hypnosis. And when it's shot this way, when the editing isn't as choppy, and when the villain acts the way he does, you're just captivated. I mean, I think the way the actor who plays the villain, this almost like casual but also unsettling performance that he does, like, I don't know what it is about his performance that I find so unsettling. Yeah, Dr. Juice, that makes sense. Yeah, I don't know what adjective I can use to describe the villain, because it's almost like he's not trying to be creepy. He just seems like he's just so blasé about it. He's so nonchalant, matter of fact. When he hypnotizes people, it seems almost low effort, and yet it's clearly effective, and he clearly enjoys it. And the fact it works so quickly on people makes it that much creepier, because he just does the simplest actions and he has people under his thumb. There's a scene where he hypnotizes a doctor, and it's fantastic. And the scene is literally just him talking to her and spilling a glass of water. And the fact the film can make that so interesting to watch is a trademark of a good director and a good script and a good actor. Yeah, he's so calm. And that to me is more unsettling than someone trying to act creepy. Alika, I have seen Cloud. I had mixed feelings about it. But there were some good stuff in there too. Thank you so much for reminding me about this. So, couple rules right off the bat. Ease off those TikTok fingers because this is just going to take a second, and don't comment below until you hear this part because this is important. Number one, these are my favorite horror movies, not what I consider the best. Big distinction. Number two, I'm only putting movies on this list that I confidently feel are horror. That means no Jaws, no Silence of the Lambs, no American Psycho, no Climax, and no horror comedies. Those are just and this one really hurts. No Aliens. They're just a little too borderline for me personally to put on the list. Everything I just listed are fantastic movies, but they're not going to feature today. That's it. Also, it would make the movie kind of boring because it would make the video kind of boring because Silence of the Lambs and Jaws would just be like the top two probably. So yeah. All right. But yeah, Cure. It's just such a cool film. It's about hypnosis and it's hypnotic to watch. So success. You know, it did exactly what it needed to do. It did exactly what it needed to do, and it's not boring. Yes, it does slow down a little bit in the second half. A little bit too much for my taste, but other than that, I can't deny just how purposeful the cinematography is. I love the music change that happens earlier in the film. All the violence is really hard to watch and effective. This is just done with, all the decisions are done with so much intelligence. It always feels like there's a reason for why something's shot the way it is. Why a music cue would show up, the little music that there is, why characters act the way they do. The ending will leave you with a lot of questions, but good questions, and even the end credits look kind of cool. So there's just a lot of great stuff going on in this film. I love it so, and for a hypnosis movie actually hypnotizing me that I could stare at a water spill for like 2 minutes unblinking, yeah, I mean, this has to go on the list. What's your most rewatched horror movie? Mine are probably Gonjiam and The Empty Man. Rewatched? That's a really good question. I've seen Gonjiam a few times. I don't rewatch horror movies that much. Like, I think I usually watch a horror movie like twice. Probably Gonjiam, or probably like a fun one, maybe like the first Resident Evil or some shit. Actually, maybe The Shining, maybe The Thing, something like that. Some of the classics. Probably that. All right. Oh, wait, let me just check one thing. One thing that said. Hold on. Where is it? I won't spoil it, but the scene in Cure where the main character thinks something happens to his wife in the apartment. Oh, yeah. Yep. That's a good one. First Resident Evil is good. Is it good? I mean, it's decent, but it's fun. It's my favorite Resident Evil movie. I don't think the rest are good at all. They're actually pretty bad. But I think the first one's a lot of fun. All right. Getting to some classics here. Number 18 is Rosemary's Baby. I'm gonna keep this one very brief because what can I say? Why do I like this movie? You know, it's for all the reasons, for everything. It's the acting. It's how it's shot. It's how the characters are framed in these shots. It's so effective. It's the acting. It's a sense of isolation. You know, it's the horror that comes from the idea of it's the horror that comes from thinking that people are after you, but it couldn't be that person, right? I don't know. These people over here may not have my best interests, but at least I can rely on this person. That goofy individual, I mean, they're just silly, right? They couldn't possibly, there's no way they could be in on it. And then you find out you literally were alone. And you couldn't trust anyone in the room, in the building, and it's like gaslighting to the extreme in this movie, combined with this intense isolation and vulnerability of someone being pregnant. So it's like the whole world is collapsing on this main character, and you so quickly sympathize with her. And the film doesn't just rely solely on that. It has the music, the shot composition, and the acting to back it up. Yeah, this is just a very well made film, and it's interesting because sometimes separating my how much I like a film versus like a 5-star rating, sometimes they conflict, you know. And anytime I rate something on Letterboxd or in my videos, I always rate it based on quality, you know. I can love a film, but I still have to like begrudgingly give it like a 5 or 6 out of 10. This movie isn't one of those situations. Like, I love this film and it's fucking great. You know, it's so good. Everything about it. I can't really think of any flaws with this. The kind of dream sequence actually feels like a dream sequence. And the gaslighting in this feels very real. And yeah, and even the poster is good. I mean, not that it affects the rating, but like, this is a damn good poster. And in fact, if you guys want to chat about posters, I have a video where my fiance, who's an artist and works in the film industry, reviews different horror posters. So you should check that video out too. It's also kind of cute. Mia Farrow's still alive. Oh, really? Oh, that's cool. But yeah, I mean, there's not really much I can say about this movie. It's just expertly made. Every scene feels necessary. There's nothing that doesn't need to be here. It's like a perfectly constructed watch or something. Like all the gears, everything's working just right. All right. Oh! So we were just talking about a movie being very like tight, very concise, and kind of perfect. So let's talk about the substance. This movie is fucking wild, and it is not like Rosemary's Baby. Now, it does take inspiration from a lot of different movies, Requiem for a Dream, movies by David Cronenberg, but this still very much has its own personality and has a core concept that is so engaging and so quickly engaging that I kind of just fell in love with this movie in the first 10 minutes. I mean, the way they dole out the explanation of this process, the way they show, not tell, but show the character's current sort of self-inflicted predicament and her motivations, like everything is established so quickly and so well that 15 minutes in, I was just locked in and ready to go. This movie is deliberately over the top with some of its performances, its audio effects, its makeup. It very much knows how over the top it is, and it manages to still work. Like, it manages to do this without losing the inherent violence or despair to a point that's in this film as well. I'm going to mention this a few times in this video, but I have a soft spot for a movie that is crazy, that is, violent, that does strange things and really swings for the fences, right? But still manages to be well written, well shot, has purpose in its cinematography, and does all these technical things well too, and doesn't completely go off the rails. Being able to combine those two, I think, is a mark of a strong filmmaker and just a great film overall. Because it's one thing to just make like a sloppy, fun movie and let's just be crazy and whatever, and like that's fun. But when a movie can be this wild, like The Substance, and have such insane concepts and practical effects, and like it's practically a monster movie at one point, and yet I have to sit, like, you can't just look at it and go, well, that movie's not made well. It's made very well. The performances, like how taut the writing is, the editing that went into this, some of the shots are just beautiful. The production design is really great in this film too. The kind of the colors that are used, the reintroduction of certain shots for different characters. Like, there's a lot of talent on screen. Demi Moore is fantastic in this. I'm a little surprised she didn't win. But, I got to head out. Lika says, before I go to the film club party, I'm going to go to karaoke. Any song or artist recommendations for me to do? Karaoke? I don't know, Darude Sandstorm? I'm just kidding. I don't know. Something by the Beatles. Or no, do, I don't know. Someone recommend Lika a good song for karaoke. Gold Digger by Kanye West. Bruno Mars. Yeah, there's a good suggestion. Yeah, it's just Substance. The ending was a little much for me. Just a little much. But I understand it's like kind of the ultimate, it's kind of like the ultimate payoff for all this. It's like all this build up, all this tension, and then at the end, the circus tent falls down. And so I get it. It was a little too much for me, but it was still very fun to watch. And that was at like the peak of the movie not taking itself seriously. I don't want to describe this movie too much because I really feel like you should go into it kind of blind, but just understand there's a lot of pretty grotesque practical effects in this movie that look fantastic. I'm so glad this movie got the critical praise it deserved. There's a lot going on in terms of like the physicality of this film, the practical effects, but there's a lot going on thematically as well, as far as age, film and TV industry, greed, sexuality. And in the middle of all this is this just great body swapping concept that is just so entertaining to watch. And for a movie that's fairly long, God, you do not feel the runtime in this at all. Hey, Big Bad Guy 549. And thanks, Alika. Have fun doing karaoke. Also, really fun performance by Dennis Quaid, and the film manages to make shrimp super gross. So, pretty impressive. Number 16 is Alien. So Aliens, I consider more action than horror, but Alien, I think, is horror. I know it's sci-fi horror, but it's interesting because there was a critic, Leonard Maltin, I think, I don't know who it was, but he said that Alien is not he said Alien is not science fiction, it's gothic horror. And it's really interesting because I do think it's sci-fi horror personally, but he made a really interesting point about how a lot of the scene setups in this movie are like pure spook house horror, but in this totally different setting. And I really like this doesn't feel like a sci-fi movie that they cram some horror elements into. This feels like a horror film that has science elements to it. You know what I mean? Like the spaceship is practically a haunted house. The way scenes build to the jump scare, build to the deaths, like all of this is like classic horror. Oh, I don't know that, Depp. Omori Priest. Okay, so Depp, I'm glad you said that. So if you haven't seen this movie, but you already feel like you've practically seen it based on how much is discussed or the certain plot elements, I would still watch this for one simple reason. Well, there's a lot of reasons to watch this. The writing is great, all the performances are excellent, but I would, and of course the alien design is one for the ages, but the look of this movie, the production design is outstanding. This is such a believable vessel. I fully bought that this was a spaceship, that all these gizmos and pads and all of this were real. I had never once thought this was a set, and it's such a perfect bit of production design because it still manages to feel like a horror setting, all like the long hallways and, you know, like these open areas, and even the intro of the movie is literally just like tracking shots inside the bowels of the ship, and it's such a perfect way to establish it as like this sci-fi haunted house. It's groovy, man. I mean, I would, if you haven't seen it, I would definitely watch it. And honestly, it makes me kind of miss seeing films that were shot on film, because not only is the production design great in this, but being shot on film, it gives it such grit and texture to it, and it feels like I can reach out and grab it. So, like, yes, this is a great horror film for the ages. Yes, you know, Sigourney Weaver's awesome in it. Everyone's awesome in it. But just the look of it and how it was designed is really on an expert level and should be watched by anyone interested in production design, set design, anything like that. Yeah, Alien Isolation is fucking stressful, for sure. Yeah, this is not like, yeah, it's a great looking film. Everyone's great in it. And it is a masterful raising of tension. Although, don't watch the ending if you're epileptic. I'll just say that. They really had fun with the strobe light in that one. Also, great trailer. It's like the ultimate not spoiling anything kind of trailer. I never finished Alien Isolation. I really should finish it. Stop being a baby. All right, next is Black Swan. Yes, I consider it a horror movie. Yes, I do like it more than Perfect Blue, although it's kind of close. I do think this movie owes a lot to Perfect Blue. Certain imagery was clearly taken from Perfect Blue. But that aside, this is still very much its own thing. And by just doing nothing but comparing it to another film, I feel like kind of ignores how well this is put together. I mean, the use of mirrors in these shots looks great, and I don't know how they even got some of these shots without the camera being there. Natalie Portman is fantastic. I'm so glad she won. This is like a career best performance from her. And I also think Mila Kunis is great. I mean, the kind of bitchy, the bitchy ballet dancers that she works with are also like, they're all very believable in those roles. This is the angriest I've seen Winona Ryder, and it's awesome to watch. And honestly, I think Vincent Cassel wasn't getting enough attention for this role. He is great. He totally holds your attention. He carries so much authority and seediness in his performance. I completely believed him as a ballet director. And it's really interesting to think about his process, because he's obviously completely over the line in his behavior, but the film makes it very clear that the film makes it vague enough of whether he's doing this purely for artistic purposes or he's just like a horny asshole. I think you can argue for both, and I think that adds a lot of depth to this kind of character. Oh, you finished BioShock, Depp. Oh, I love BioShock. It's a great game. Not a great final scene, not a great final mission, but big bad guy. That's because she looks almost exactly like Keira Knightley. One second. I mean, this is another one of those movies where it grabs you so quickly. The intro is this beautiful ballet sequence, and it's not only just to look, the lighting is just gorgeous, but the way the light kind of hits Natalie Portman and the expression on her face so quickly kind of establishes what kind of character we're in for. I mean, I think this is just perfect casting. She's so fragile, and so kind of delicate, and that's vital for the character because she's trying to find her passionate, darker side. I mean, it's the main plot line in this. And then once she finally does, it's like this big cathartic moment that is so entertaining to watch. And yeah, it's like a lot of Darren Aronofsky's work. This just keeps increasing in panic, in the feeling that you can't believe what you're seeing. It becomes total chaos, and then it kind of resolves itself. Beautiful film, so expertly directed, and one of the best kind of horror performances from Natalie Portman. And also just a lot of little details that are great, not just like the main stuff, like the use, like the use of mirrors and how the music was adapted, but just little details, like the small kind of bird-like sound effects and the fluttering effects that you hear in the background in certain sequences. And one little detail, there's a shot when there's a scene where she takes ecstasy and she starts rubbing her fingers, and to make the shot look strange and a little off-putting, the director brought someone in who had like abnormally long fingers and had them do the shot. So if you watch that scene again, they had like really hideously long fingers, and it's supposed to be Natalie Portman. And it's just, did they have to do that? No, but it's just another kind of subconscious way to kind of put you on edge. Also, fantastic nightclub scene. So good. Actually makes me feel like I'm in a nightclub, and you can tell there's a lot of hallucinatory stuff going on in the film, and it's a lot of fun to kind of go frame by frame and watch what they snuck in there. So again, yeah, this was even with its obvious influences, this still very much kind of stands on its own in terms of its quality, and I enjoy the hell out of this movie. I've seen it several times, and one of my biggest regrets as a film buff is that I never saw this in theaters. Ugh, such a regret, because this was probably very intense in the theater. So good. I need to finish. Depp, how do you not finish Requiem for a Dream? How do you start that movie and not finish it? Like, that's crazy to me. I don't know. Do you have a schoolboy crush on Natalie Portman? No, I just think she's excellent in this film. Like, yes, she's a beautiful actress, but she's amazing in this. Really, really good. I was 14. Oof, that's a tough one. I think I saw this when I was 8. I think I saw Requiem when I was like 18. 18 or 19. I was a freshman in college. So good. I'm gonna skip through pauses though, so I'll catch up. Oh, okay, Dr. Juice. All right, let's see. We still recording? Excellent. All right, let's start moving through these. All right, this is going to annoy people as well. Midsommar is my 14th favorite horror film. Again, I know this is actually quite a divisive movie, and look, I'm not going to say the movie is necessarily perfect. I think it does slow down a little bit in the third act. I think certain sequences could have been sped up just a little bit. However, I think no, Depp, it is not. However, I think that this movie is kind of, how do I say this? I think some people kind of misunderstand this film, and I also think it's easy to do, because when you first watch the film, you're very focused on the cult angle of this, right? And just like the imagery, the music, some of the violence in this, the slow pace, right? Hereditary, which is not on this list, even though I do think it's very good, moves much faster than this movie, and they're about the same length. Midsommar drags a bit, so that'll be a big that'll be very noticeable for people when they first watch this. But I feel like what slips by on the first watch, and it did a little bit for me as well, is that a huge factor in this plot is how the cult is kind of hypnotizing the main character and bringing her into the fold using real life cult tactics, love bombing, trying to separate her from the outside world and try to include her in their cult and try to show them as a family, as something positive. Specifically targeting her triggers, like using the word family and other things, to try to like really break her down and then themselves build her back up. I think someone is here. Give me 1 second. Sorry, folks. 1 second. All right, 1 second. Getting my cabinet fixed. Dr. Juice says, Aronofsky, my #1 favorite director of all time. What's your favorite film by him? Mine's Requiem, personally. I think that's his best. Like, that's his masterpiece. But I'm curious what you say. Hereditary is not on a list. Yeah, so again, I think Hereditary is really good movie. Amazing lead performance, good music. It's just not one of my favorites. I think a big part of it is because it didn't scare me, and Midsommar did. And I think a big reason Midsommar did was it made me feel like I shouldn't be watching it. It was just so bizarre and corrupted as how I felt. Like, it felt so wrong what was happening, the way characters were killed, how their bodies were mutilated. The fact it was so sunny outside and the music was so pastoral that it just felt wrong. It actually felt like I was watching a cult. And yeah, I do think that just calling this, like, I've seen some people talk about this movie and just say, oh, it's like just a bunch of dumb people and they show up to like a cult, and I don't understand. Like, it's more than that. It's more than just a creepy cult and drugs. It's the kind of psychological persuasion that's going on in this movie. There's a lot of that, and I do think, I mean, I'm not going to tell someone who hates the film to rewatch it, but like, if you're not really quite sure about the film and you feel like you missed something from it, I would highly recommend watching this again and really paying attention to how the cult members talk to the main character, how they trigger her, how they swarm her, and just all those tactics are all there, and it's actually really interesting to watch in that kind of lens. That aside, I think a main reason why this is so high up on the list, other than the fact it just creeped me out by being so unseemly and wrong, and like certain shot, for example, you can see her sister's face in the trees towards the finale, which is just so unsettling to me. But I love the music in this. I think the music is fantastic. It is one of my favorite scores of all time for any film. I'm amazed that this was not nominated for Best Score. both this and Hereditary, but this especially should have been nominated for Best Score. I don't know what the hell happened. This is an incredible score that manages to feel so lively and pastoral, like I said, and so bright, but then combined with these kind of images makes it so sick to witness. And then the music can just so quickly shift into something weird or terrifying. And that's the mark of a great score for me. I think it's called what's it called? It's like a Viking thing, an Iron Cross or something, Viking Cross, something like that. Where they pull the lungs out through the back. Really horrifying stuff. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. The reason, this could be its own video, but the reason I like this and was scared by this more than Hereditary is because Hereditary was kind of showing me things I'd already seen. And Midsommar does to a certain extent. We've seen cults. This feels a little familiar to The Wicker Man, but the way it was done, the what they do to people in this movie, and the music really got me in a new way. And that's Blood Eagle. Thank you, Arthur. Iron Cross. That's totally different. It got me in a very unique way. And I was kind of covering my mouth in shock for large portions of this film. So I do recommend giving this one a rewatch. And all good. All right, thank you. Do you want to say hi? Okay. Oh, I was trying to get a cameo from the guy. Oh, that'd been so fun if I showed them on stream. I get it though. He doesn't even know what kind of stream this could be. Could be some like S&M shit. Anywho, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I love this film. It's one of my favorites, and I know it's not for everyone, but what is? Okay, 13. Just make sure I did that right. Number 13 is Wreck, the found footage classic from Spain. Love this film so deeply. I'm just going to kind of fly through this one because there's just too much to say. But I think the strongest thing about this film is that it's so realistic. I bought everything that was happening on the camera, and all the performances felt very natural, not only in their terror, but also just kind of way they're casually talking to each other in the beginning. All the characters are unique. And I really, really like how when this starts, you're not really sure it's a horror film. And I like when a horror film is scary quickly, or when it's tense from beginning to end. I mean, that really works for me too. But I think this works when you're not really sure what's happening. It feels almost like a mystery. Like, why are they being sheltered? Why is there some kind of corrupted government thing going on here? Why are they being quarantined? The fact that there's a reporter there means she starts doing interviews of people, and it's almost like a documentary or like a political film. Or, I don't know, I just got that kind of vibe from it. And then, of course, once it gets creepy, it gets very creepy and very intense and just intensifies. And once it gets to the third act, that's where a lot of these movies kind of fall apart, right? Because they get so wild, they kind of stop being scary, you know? And this was approaching that. It was total mayhem, and it was just starting to become less scary and more like Resident Evil. And then it slows down, and the night vision sequence is so deeply horrifying to me. I saw this at night. It scared the shit out of me, and I don't know. I honestly think it's one of the scariest sequences in a film, not just because it's night vision, but because of the silence, how realistic it feels, how terrified the performances are. It's just so well done. This is a scary film. It's an intense film. It's fun. And the found footage aids the horror. It's not just, hey, let's just shake the camera and that's it. Like, the there are ways the camera hides certain things and kind of implies what's happening, and you're kind of searching the frame for it. Yeah, there's just great stuff in this. This is so much better than the American remake Quarantine, especially in terms of acting. Just hyper intense and scary movie, and this is my favorite found footage movie for sure. I just think it's masterful. All right. Oh my God, we're closing in on the top 10. Number 11, The Shining. Oh, sorry, number 12. Whoops. Number 12, The Shining. It's time for a speed run. Yeah, we got to kind of wrap these up. Yeah, number 12, The Shining. I mean, come on, this movie's been analyzed to death. I feel like it's almost pointless to talk about why I love this movie so much, but I'll say something really quick. Yes, there's great things in this movie. The Steadicam, the sequence where the kid goes over the carpets, the classic scenes towards the end. But for me, I like this movie so much, and I've rewatched it so many times because as creepy as it is, it's almost therapeutic in a way. It's kind of relaxing now because of those gliding camera movements and also just the very matter-of-fact way everything's set up. The character, his job interview and being put in place at this house, and then how being put in place at this hotel, and then how the hotel is introduced and all the rooms and everything. Like, it's so peaceful in a way. Like, yes, there's creepy music and we know something bad's gonna happen, but there's just something so weirdly pleasant, even satisfying, watching how this movie sets up. It's like you're getting accustomed to this hotel, kind of in the same way you explore a level in a video game or something, right? It's like you're getting your bearings and you're exploring, and it's kind of nice in a way. And then, of course, the movie gets very disturbing. But I just watch it so many times because I just find it so weirdly relaxing watching this movie until it gets very, obviously, like, very disturbing. And, I will say that even watching it many times, I still do think the scene with the axe is scary conceptually. Like, could you imagine someone you love bashing down a door trying to kill you? Like, just really trying to let that sink in, and yeah, that's horrifying. Yeah, I mean, come on, this is a great film. It was not very well received when it came out, but I'm glad it's obviously gotten more attention as years have gone on, and I will say, watch this movie again, really pay attention to the music. Modern horror movies have been ripping off this score more than Psycho. I'm serious, like, everyone fucking uses this kind of soundtrack, and it's actually starting to annoy me now when I hear it in a modern film because it's so overdone. And this film did that kind of style first, at least to my knowledge. So yeah, great, just weirdly relaxing / disturbing experience watching this film with, obviously very like trend-setting cinematography and music. Great time. Yes, I corrected them. God, there's so many just great scenes in this movie, great bits of dialogue. Jack Nicholson's wonderful in it. He has a great laugh. He has a really good laugh in the bar. Watch it again. It's such a like outward bursting kind of laugh. So much fun. Depp, I would, the Catfish. Oh, you haven't seen it yet. Depp, I would watch this. This is like, sometimes recommending older films to younger people might be a hard sell. They don't like how it's shot on film. Some people, it looks weird to them. Slower pace. I think this one holds up. I think this one is a good one, an older one to show to younger people. Plus, it's not that old, 1980. But yeah, I think this is a good one to recommend. As far as like, are older horror films good? Show them The Shining. It's a good one. So fun. This might be the horror movie I've rewatched the most. Bitch, I love David Lynch. I didn't mean you, Depp, specifically. I know that. Compared to David Lynch, this is very normal. This isn't that weird of a film. 1 second, sorry. All right. We're getting close to the top 10. Number 11 is Alfred Hitchcock's Frenzy. I think this is probably the most underrated of Hitchcock's catalog. No one talks about this film. It wasn't that well received when it came out because I think people thought it was a little too grotesque, at least by those standards. This was also Hitchcock's second to last film he made. And it just sort of like went under the radar. And this is great. This is in my top 5 Hitchcock, I swear. This is so unsettling. And to paraphrase Jim Cummings, the director who reviewed this film, this is the most accurate depiction of a serial killer, at least feels the most accurate as far as how he operates, how, his day-to-day versus what he does, when he's alone with someone, kind of like his behavior, like how he covers up a crime, how he initiates the crime. It almost feels like a snuff film. It feels way too real, all of it. And I like that the film kind of tricks you at first. It sets up a killer, but doesn't show you, and then it shows you someone, and you automatically put the two together, and you go, okay, that's the killer. And then they introduce who's really the killer, and that scene is horrifying. I mean, it feels too realistic, and the sexual violence feels like you're actually literally just watching it play out, in real time, and it doesn't feel glamorized or sensationalized. It just feels like an act of sexual violence, and it's so hard to watch, especially when she disassociates. And it's not that gratuitous. I don't believe there's any nudity in the shot, maybe a little bit. It's not like there's not a lot of horrible things necessarily happening on camera, but you can still tell what's happening, and emotionally it's just gut-wrenching to witness. And the lead up to it is terrifying because you're slowly starting to piece together who this character is and what's about to happen. There are several scenes in this movie that are scarier because of what they're implying. There's this one shot where a man follows a woman into a room, and the camera just slowly pans out away from the door, down the stairs, down more stairs, out the entryway into a busy street full of noise. And automatically you're just picturing what's happening in that room and the fact that no one can hear it because of the street. I mean, that implication is so horrifying, and sometimes implying rather than showing is actually the right way to go. Yes, Deb. Oh, interesting image too. Yeah, so it's scenes like that really sunk its teeth into me, and I don't know if I would call this movie scary or not, because it kind of did. It did disturb me. Because of how real the killer felt, and because of how helpless the victims were. So, yeah, I think Hitchcock was still like on the top of his game with this, and it was nice to see him being able to have a more violent film than some of his others, and yet still be pretty tasteful and clever about it. It's just a great film. Love it so much, and it's so high on the list because of the effect that it had on me personally, because it just made me my breath just stopped while I was watching. And a movie that gets such a visceral and emotional effect out of me is always going to rank high. Chat, am I cooked? half a bottle is, that's pretty good. I think you're good. Maybe want to start sipping that water. All right, top 10. Oh my God, we're at the top 10. Yeah. All right, number 10 is May. Oh, I love this film so much. And you know what's great about May? We've been talking about some films, and we've been talking about some movies today that I've had to kind of preface with, well, some people didn't like this, or this wasn't for everyone, this was divisive. May is the movie where pretty much like people who watch it love it. It's just no one has seen this, right? I don't think it got a very wide release. It's kind of like an underground film at this point. But I would anyone who likes horror, because obviously there is some gore and disturbing content in this movie, so I wouldn't recommend it to everyone. But I would recommend this to anyone who likes horror. And I'm not saying literally everyone is going to love this, but there's so much to get out of it. I mean, there's so much. First, it's funny, it's sick, it's creepy, it's dramatic, it's tragic, and it balances all these scenes well. It's even kind of funny in a few moments. There's some kind of cute one-liners. But really what holds all this together, because there's a lot going on, but at the end of the day, this is a character study about someone who's so deeply antisocial and also fetishizes, I don't think I said that right, but who has this strange fetish with people's body parts that all of it kind of rides on the lead performance. And Angela Bettis is fantastic in this movie. She's terrific. She has to hit all these different emotional beats. She has to be, she has to be a tragic figure, but she also has to kind of be a villain at points. And it's so, as strange as she is, you empathize with her because she makes the loneliness feel very real, very hard to watch. And she's a captivating person to watch. It's such a great performance. It's so layered. It's so unrelenting. Like you don't feel like the actress is being careful with any of these scenes. Not that she's being sloppy or careless, but that she's not holding back. And I feel like if those who like the kind of Mia Goth kind of performances would get a lot out of May. Yeah, I mean, Angela Bettis is awesome. It's such a fun movie. There's so much going on. I feel like the movie never takes itself too seriously, but still doesn't stop from being fairly unsettling as far as how the main character starts to snap and the actions that she commits. The ending is amazing, horrifying, but amazing, especially in terms of performance. How she's able to convey that kind of mental and physical pain is kind of jaw-dropping. It really is, like, it's a tough watch, but you can't look away. Yeah, great ending, great pace to this, and like I said, I would recommend it to pretty much any horror fan because it is such a wonderful lead performance, and it goes, it's such an entertaining unraveling of someone's psyche. I mean, there's some really sad moments in this, like someone, pitifully trying to keep someone on the phone with her, and then there's sequences where you see her get the upper hand, and it's almost like a "you go girl" kind of moment, and those are very entertaining to watch too. There's plenty of blood, there's plenty of drama, and the way it's shot. I keep talking about purposeful cinematography, but the way this is shot, we see the world through her eyes, and we see how her eyes are kind of washing over all these people's body parts, and we see her fantasies kind of play out in real time. Such an interesting concept, such an intriguing character. I love watching this film, and it honestly kind of blew me away, and I wish it was more famous. Good film. All right, we're going to kind of fly through these top 10s because I think most of them are going to be pretty predictable, except for this one, Under the Skin. Yes, some people, yeah, we're back to the some people didn't like this charade, but slow movie, fantastic movie. Oh, God, this is so good. The first, third of this movie I found deeply disturbing, and there's one sequence, I won't spoil it, I'll just call it the pop, that almost actually made me kind of fall off the bed that I was watching this on. Really one very, very, very frightening sequence. This happens to be my favorite horror intro of all time. I think the way they set up this alien, there's so much being shown but not directly explained, and you're kind of putting the pieces together of what is happening, and there's just enough blanks in these explanations that it allows you to fill in some details yourself, and it's fun that way, you know? Like the alien ship or her dwelling, whatever it is, you don't even really know what it is. It's like a black void. You don't know what the dimensions are, and so there's the amount of mystery in this movie actually makes it scarier to me, because it's the classic fear of the unknown, and it's a fear of the unknown that's filmed beautifully, acted very well by Scarlett Johansson, and is really directed with some panache, because there's aspects of this that are found footage, there's aspects of this that feel like kind of almost like a romantic drama, and then there's just straight up alien horror. And the fact that the director can balance all this is, you know, I'm glad the director was able to balance all of this. Also, the score is so haunting, and the score is memorable and alien-like, honestly. Dr. Juice, some people didn't like picks. You give me shit about... Well, I'm giving you shit about Thanatomorphos because it was Thanatomorphos. I mean, come on. It's Thanatomorphos. You can't compare Thanatomorphos to Under the Skin. Oh, yeah. I mean, there's so much there's so much shown about this character without her having to really go into a lot of explanations. It wouldn't make sense for her to talk too much, because she is at least implied to be an extraterrestrial. So you get a sense of what she's like based on her behavior, what she does, what she doesn't do, who she doesn't help, who she does help, and how she actually kind of changes throughout the film. This is just an eerie and very thoughtfully put together film. I know this, you know, slow pace can be a bit much for people, but I was never bored of this. I found it captivating. And the ideas it has regarding, because we've seen alien seductress films before, but not like this. Not like this at all. This is just gorgeous and weird, and just beautiful when it has to be, weird when it, like, bizarre when it has to be. And the fact they included found footage of this movie too is just such a fresh angle to it. Great movie to rewatch, and at least watch the intro. I mean, come on. It's almost like Kubrick level. That intro is fantastic. Oh, love this movie. So good. And good poster too. I like the poster. Number 8. Invasion of the Body Snatchers from 1978, I believe. This film is great. Oh, this is so good. Hold on, just checking. Like, yeah, we can talk all day about the body horror in this movie, how good it looks, how strange the actual process is of these pods taking over human bodies. It's so gradual and weird. The little flakes of skin. It's very kind of like eye-catching. But I loved all of that. What really got me was the fact that, and I've talked about this before, but it almost feels the horror of this movie comes from the fact that it does feel like you're too late. I mean, the intro, and I won't spoil this movie. You absolutely should watch it. But I love the intro of this movie because without any words, it establishes the alien invasion. And they've already landed. It's done. They've infected the world. Like, it's, you know, and so you're watching the whole movie, like, trying to find out what they can do, how widespread this is. It's like you're constantly playing catch up, as a good mystery should, as a good thriller should. But it just gets worse. And each new reveal depicts just how screwed our characters are, and that increases in scope as well. The characters are interesting and, you know, well performed. I really like Donald Sutherland in this movie, once again proving himself to be an extremely talented actor. And just little things, little shots, little moments here are just peppered throughout this film to put you on edge and remind you that, you know, you're watching, you're supposed to be disturbed right now. The movie never is normal for too long, never lets you get too comfy. I guess you could say. Yeah, you absolutely should watch this. The film does a really good job, making you believe like all the characters are very well rounded. And I like how when a character, let's say, changes, it's quite subtle how their performance changes as well. It's nicely done. There's a lot of there's those reveals of how large this infestation is where a lot of the fear comes from, added to the kind of paranoia that comes with it, as far as like people running in the streets, and the mystery angle is very well done. So yeah, it's a great kind of it's a great like thriller, trying to figure out the solution to this massive problem. It comes across like a mystery thriller combined with a very effective body horror film. And oh my god, and just add on top of all that, there's like a dog in this movie that's just fucked up. You're watching the whole movie and it's disturbing, it's tense, but it has this kind of level of subtlety to all of it. And then at the end, the director must have just gone, screw it, let's just really mess with some people. And they throw in this dog that comes out of nowhere, and you just go, oh my god. It was such a sucker punch. And I kind of respect it, honestly, I do. Anyway, great movie. If you haven't seen it, it's another older one that totally holds up. Great film, and the way that the mystery and the intensity builds is just perfect. I would not watch this when you eat. I wouldn't say it's overly gross. There are grosser films on this list, but I wouldn't recommend it. Deb, Jesus Christ. All right. Please tell me I'm still recording. Thank God. All right, number 7, the classic Psycho. I have very fond memories of this when I first watched it. I think I was a kid. I still think it holds up for the most part. My only issue with this film is one kind of weird falling effect, which was probably terrifying for the time, but now looks dated. And the ending, I do not like the use of exposition at the end. I know I've complained about exposition before. I do think exposition has its place in movies. I really do. There are scenes of someone explaining something that I think work very well. The Substance has a great bit of exposition with like a video. Psycho really didn't need it. At the very least, they should shorten it. It's basically just explaining shit we could have figured out. I don't like it at all. Maybe it's an older thing. Whatever. Not a fan of it. However, the last few shots of the movie, really good. And everything leading up to it, just excellent. This is one of the best horror scores of all time. Similar to The Shining, horror movies have cribbed from this soundtrack repeatedly. The shower scene still holds up, looks great. All the different angles and the way it's edited is just it's the perfect murder sequence. I think Anthony Perkins is fantastic. Anthony Perkins is incredible in this movie, and you watching him slowly get more upset in a certain scene is the perfect kind of raising of tension. I mean, it's Psycho. Like, what am I supposed to do? I mean, I love the film so much just because I actually really enjoyed the setup. The way Hitchcock establishes this tone and how he retains it with the simplest things, like the giant sunglasses on the cop, or the music that was playing as she's driving in the rain, the headlights, the camera angles are so good in this movie. If you're a cinematographer or have any interest in it, you have to watch Psycho. I mean, how you make a guy look, how you compare a guy to the birds that he stuffs, right? How do you do that on film? You can do something obvious. You can put shadows that look like wings or something. Or you can have him chew stuff and then shoot him from below so his neck kind of pulsates like a bird eating. And it's shots like that that they just lock into your brain, and they keep you so engaged. And that's what good shots should do. They should be emotional, and they should make you feel things, and they should keep your interest in the story. It's just, yeah, it's such a, like, there's so many great things in this movie, the acting, the music, but the shots are so fucking good. You have to watch it for that. All right, we're really hitting these now. Number 6 is Mandy. Oh, I love this film. I love it so dearly. Oh, so great. It starts so peaceful, so tranquil. It's still a bit psychedelic. The filters that they're using, the colors, gorgeous lighting. This whole movie looks breathtaking, and I'm stunned it wasn't nominated for Best Cinematography. It really is. And they even use like these really, I don't know all the details, but they use these interesting techniques to really give it this kind of flickery 80s feel to it. Everything looks like it's covered in smoke, and there's this interesting texture with a lot of these shots. God, I don't know the technical details of it, but some of these scenes are just jaw-dropping to look at, and they look so modern and yet nostalgic at the same time. Hey, Barry Meals, how's it going? Welcome. Talking about my top 31 favorite films, I'm on number 6. But yeah, it's just, yeah, the movie looks great, but it's so fascinating because it starts so peaceful, and then it ramps up into like into violence and tragedy. And then the last half of this movie is just like, it's a revenge film. And it's such a satisfying one, and it's so, again, just beautifully shot. The color combinations are vibrant. Nicolas Cage is actually giving a really strong performance. I was starting to worry that he kind of lost himself with a lot of this kitschy crap that he was doing. And there are both intense moments and kind of heartbreaking moments that he does in this, that he captures in this movie, and it kind of reminds you, like, yeah, I'm fucking Nicolas Cage. I can actually act. He's good, man. He's very good in this. All the actors are great. I love the cult members. It actually feels pretty, like, legitimately like a cult, the way the main character is controlling them and how much sexuality is kind of baked into his tactics. There's an acid scene in this movie that pretty much clinched this movie. I mean, there's so many great things in this film. So many great shots. You could take so many frames of this movie and just blow them up and put them on your wall. I mean, they literally, they look like, I don't know, they look like art for, like, it's like LSD art mixed with like heavy metal art or something. It's so cool. So this film, it looks great. But there's this scene where a character is given high doses of acid, and her face merges with the cult leader's face while he's talking, and it's such a long sequence, but like the movie Cure, I was just transfixed. That could have gone on for half an hour. I was just so locked in, not moving, just trying to get all of it into my eyeballs, and the way his face keeps like merging in and out of hers, it's man, it's hypnotic. It's the only way to describe it. Well, I'm glad to hear that, Barry. I'm glad to hear it. And I would love for you to either guess what my number 1 movie is or put your own. I'm very curious to hear what people's top 5 movies are. This is a good time to do it. But yeah, I mean, the violence is fun. The ending is satisfying. It's cosmic horror. It's revenge horror. It's a movie that is like The Substance. It's a movie that's wild and untethered, yet still tethered by quality. It never feels like it's dipping in any respect. You know what I mean? Like it's always working hard, the movie. And just for the look of it, you have to see it. Also, great soundtrack. Very, very good soundtrack. All right, we're in top 5 category. Titan, the winner of the Palme d'Or that year, and I forever lost respect for the Oscars when they did not nominate this for Best Picture. It wasn't even a strong year at the Oscars, and this film is great. I think someone described it as the Oscars proving that they're not cool. And yeah, I think that's pretty accurate. They're not cool enough to nominate this, even though it got rave reviews, even though it won awards. Like, Oscars aren't cool enough to nominate this because it's just too weird. It's too weird and it's too fucking good. This is just great. I've described this before, but the pitch of this movie is just insane. It's a woman who is sexually attracted to metal. She has sex with a car and gets pregnant with a partly titanium baby. Oh, and also she's a killer on the run. Yeah, that's like scraping the surface. But despite all that, despite the body horror in this that I think makes it a horror film, this still manages to be a pretty intriguing and even heartfelt movie about identity, about gender, about family, and about caregiving. So, and these emotional scenes resonated for me. I mean, I was actually emotionally attached to these characters. Vincent Lindon, who plays kind of the father figure in this, I think he's fantastic. The lead actress is great. I mean, everyone's great in the movie. There's very clever use of symbolism, of foreshadowing, and it's interesting how these changes in tone still feel justified. I mean, the first third of this is just straight up horror, and there's a whole sequence where she's like killing people with like a fire poker, so it almost feels like a slasher film. But then it becomes something else, and because we're really, we're focused on two characters primarily, it's able to retain that kind of, it's able to retain that sense of focus and be grounded despite all this other stuff that's going on. And I love the fact that the film just, like, how do I put this? I like how the film just tells you to go with it. Like, yeah, she is having a metallic pregnancy. She has sex with cars. Just roll with it. It's like, okay, as long as you're good, I'll roll with it. And it is good. It's great. Everything about this movie is great. It's shot beautifully. The acting is great. The writing is smart. There's lots of ideas that are explored. And, you get to see a little bit of body horror as well. I mean, there's a scene where she purposely disfigures herself, and that's really hard to watch. I love all these psychological, head-twisting horror thrillers, but when thinking, my favorite names always escape me as I watch free movies, mostly on YouTube. Movie equivalent of Sources, trust me, bro. Yeah, but basically, I mean, if it had gone into like some kind of long-winded explanation of how she's actually having sex with a vehicle, it would have ruined it. Totally. You just go with it. And it's not even necessarily about that. It's about the ramifications of that. It's about her perversions, or you could call them. It's about her proclivities, and it's also, what it results in. So this is the haircut you need to make a car fall in love with you. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like Mandy, like The Substance. It's a movie that has such a crazy pitch and goes to such, atypical places, but does so with so much skill, both behind and in front of the camera. And I really respect that. I love this film. I found it both highly entertaining and quite emotional. And I can't wait to watch it again. This is a damn good film. All right. Number 4, Lake Mungo. I said Wreck was my favorite found footage because Lake Mungo is not found footage. It is a pseudo-documentary and is the best one I've seen. I've mentioned this before. You could easily give this movie to someone and tell them it's a real documentary, and they would probably believe it because it feels so natural. All the actors are given perfect performances. They all feel like real interviews. The way they're speaking, it's all so natural, and I'm sure a lot of it is improvised. And the fact this movie opens with tragedy quickly establishes that this is going to be a movie that's going to make you care as well as creep you out. And you're not even sure the movie's going to try to creep you out. You're not even sure if this is a horror film. You just watch this almost like a real documentary. There's a tragedy, and it's showing how the family are dealing with it. And you're thinking, okay, like this is really sad. But the characters are so engaging. You feel so bad for them that you're invested. And no movie has ever done this to me ever, where I didn't realize I was scared until I had already been scared. Does that make any sense? Like, I was halfway through it, and I suddenly found myself like trying to look away from the screen, like putting my hand up. And then I thought, wait a minute, why am I doing that? Wait, oh my God, I'm scared right now. Like, I didn't realize that I was fucking terrified. And it was because it was so gradual. And I don't think it's boring because, again, like, there are things happening. It's a tragedy. It's about this family who think they're somehow like they're someone who's died, they think is trying to contact them. And it's almost like a mystery. It's them trying to see if this is real. They're collecting evidence. They're reaching out to people. They're trying to explore this girl's past. So it's paced. It unfolds like a mystery. So it's keeping you involved. And like deep under the surface, this horror is building. And some of this horror is just so simple. It's a lingering camera. It's a steady shot from a camera, just like watching one part of the house, and you're just waiting for something to enter it. Or it's just slowly zooming in on a character who's like half concealed in a mirror or something. And it does this so simply, so gradually, and always keeps the drama at the forefront. So it never feels like the movie stops everything to be horror, right? It's just horror is slowly rising. And I don't know, it's like the horror is inside of an ice cube, you know? And you're looking at the ice cube, and it just like slowly melts to reveal the horror underneath. And before you even realize it, it's there. And that's what it did to me. And that's why it'll always rank high for me. Because yes, I think it's a legitimately great film. I think the acting is great. Editing is perfectly done. I think the pacing's wonderful. The ending is terrifying. I don't know if you'd really call it a jump scare, maybe, but it's very well set up and well executed. And conceptually, it is horrifying what it actually is. But I think the fact it's so slowly and so effortlessly creeped me out, it gave me that effect. I will always appreciate the movie for. And I thought it was just me. So I actually watched it with my girlfriend at the time, and halfway through the film, I didn't know if she was enjoying it. You know, she wasn't saying anything. She was just watching the film. And so about halfway through, I was like, hey, so like, how you doing? And she goes, I'm freaking out right now. I'm like, okay, so it's not just me, it's other people as well. It's such a unique experience. And I think it was YMS who said, if a horror movie doesn't scare you, then it should at least do something else. So if Lake Mungo doesn't scare you, it'll still work. It's a tragic pseudo-documentary. You know, you'll still get something out of it. But for me, I got so much more out of it on a just deeply emotional level. So that's number 4. I think this movie is amazing. Dr. Juice says, death takes everything eventually. It's the meanest, dumbest machine there is, and it just keeps coming and it doesn't care. Who said that? That sounds familiar. I feel like I've heard that. I think in the constraints of a mockumentary, it makes more sense. No, I get it. I get what you're trying to say. Yeah. It just, yeah, it did. It's more believable that way by being a fake documentary, you know? Like, it didn't pull some shit where it was just like, no, this is actually real. Like, it didn't do that, like, Paranormal Activity shit. At least I don't think so. But it was just done so masterfully. It really felt like a documentary. All right. Oh, we're getting into the weeds now. Number 3 is The Thing. I think someone predicted this in chat. Yeah. Number 3 is The Thing. It's going to get a little predictable going forward because, I mean, what are you going to do? I'm not going to lie to you guys and try to put some, like, weird, super obscure movie in, like, my top 3 just to sound more creative. I'm going to tell you the honest truth, and The Thing is fucking great. It is great. how the characters are set up, the practical effects, which still look amazing. Just this is the perfect bottle film, paranoia film, mistrust, all of it, and the setting just enhances all of it, and the fact that they're completely snowed in and cut away from society, only enhances just how trapped they are. And I like the characters as well. I like how selfless they are to a certain extent. They're still human, they still have flaws, but they are professionals. They try to think scientifically, and they try to think about the greater good. So you like them. You're not waiting for them to die. You don't want any of them to go. Yeah, this is just an amazing film. I'm not even gonna go too deep into this because there's too much to say. So instead, I'm just gonna say two quick things. Number one, they both involve the dogs. Number one, when there's a dog that's not like a real dog, you can tell. The way they trained the dog to walk is weird. It's not like a normal dog, and I love that they put that effort in. Just by watching it walk into a room, you know something's off. And secondly, that first dog scene is so grotesque, and it's such a wonderful experience to show this movie to someone who doesn't know what they're in for. I showed this movie to my brother, and he was like almost a little bored in the beginning, and then that scene showed up, and he just went, oh. It's just, oh, it's so good. I mean, mean, but so good. Yeah, this is this is an incredible film. Kurt Russell's perfectly cast in it. I mean, everyone's great in it. Keith David as well. And the music, so simple and yet so fitting for this kind of ongoing ominous threat that's going. It's like a pulse almost. And if it was more elaborate than that, I think it would have conflicted with everything else. Like, leave the makeup effects, leave the practical effects, let the practical effects be crazy, and keep the music a little bit more subtle, and imply the fear through the music, and then show it through the effects. I don't know, I just think it was a really smart decision. And it's the classic less is more kind of situation there. Anyway, jeez, I'm just gonna ramble about this one because it's just so damn good. And it was really hard to decide between this one and my next film about which was the number 2 spot. I think someone is here. Give me 1 second. My fiance is here, and so is my giant dog, and my soon-to-be mother-in-law. All right, well, I gotta finish up soon, so we're gonna do kind of like a lightning round. But yes, The Thing, awesome movie. If somehow you haven't seen this, go watch it. But it was really hard to decide between this one and the next one to be number 2. But I think the next one just barely edged it out. And that is The Fly, also a body horror film, also still holds up. The effects look incredible, but I think what pushes this a little bit above The Thing is a couple things. Number one, I was more invested in the characters in this. Obviously, that's much easier. There are so very few characters. There's really like 3 characters in this movie, and there's very few locations. And yet I was so immersed from start to finish. And how quickly this film starts and really gets into the nitty-gritty of the plot, I just love, personally. But I think why I prefer this is because I was just more attached to this emotionally. I was really starting to care about these major characters, and the fact that David Cronenberg told the team to design these effects not to necessarily be scary and not to necessarily make a monster, but he described it as cancer. And I think those are really smart call, and you can see it when you watch the film. It's about someone like, it's not like, yes, it's someone turned into a creature, but the journey to get there feels like an illness. It's crippling him. It's robbing him of his body, and it's robbing him eventually of his mind. and that lends a sense of tragedy to this movie that goes all the way to the end. I mean, the ending is really sad. When the ending's a very sad moment. It kind of just cuts off right there. So it has all the practical attributes that the thing has, but I was just so much more emotionally invested in this, and I think the pacing is just perfect. I really do. I love the dialogue, and I love how much they show. It's like, obviously it's a sci-fi movie, so they tell a lot, and it's good telling, not showing, but they also show on several occasions, and those scenes I actually found a little creepy. The scene where he's putting so much sugar into his coffee and he can't stop talking. The scene where he does gymnastics that he could never do before. It should be cool, but it's not. It's unnatural. It's creepy, and you realize that even though it's an improvement, it's not right, and you start to realize that something has gone wrong with this procedure. Again, there's too much more I can really add to the discussion of The Fly. It's just it's honestly kind of a masterpiece. I so love this film. I think it's perfectly paced. There's never a dull moment, and there's so few characters and locations, and they still make it so enthralling. It's such a terrifying concept, and everything from the design level to the music, and obviously the practical effects is just expert. Just great film. Also, great tagline. How you doing, babe? Ooh, she gave me one of these. All right, and number one. Oh my God, what's it gonna be? And number one, my favorite horror movie of all time is 28 Days Later. This is my favorite. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. Again, we are not counting films like Jaws and Silence of the Lambs, because I just don't think they're horror enough. 28 Days Later is horror. That is straight horror. The intro was gory. The infected themselves are terrifying. I love how fast and brutal they are. The director, Danny Boyle, makes some of his smartest career decisions. As far as, like, the director Danny Boyle makes so many smart decisions in this movie, not just how it's shot, but also hiring athletes to play the infected, so they have this frenzied, they have these perfect frenzied movements. Depth Strider, a little bit, I guess. Yeah, I guess I could see that. I mean, there's just so many. There's such great things about this movie. I love how, I'm just going to keep using the word love over and over, because I just so deeply love this film. I love that the characters look like real people, not like models who came out of a trailer. I love the music and how well it fits these different scenes. I love the structure of this film, how intense it is in the first act as you're starting to learn about the current situation. How the characters start to bond in the second act, and how the third act completely, turns the tables on them. I love the character arc of the protagonist, and I love how the director uses the same shutter speed that he was using for the infected with the main character once he makes that change, almost kind of comparing him to the villains. It makes him to the beast that he has to become to save people. I mean, there's nothing wasted in this. Like, this is kind of perfect. I can't think of any scene that doesn't need to be there. Every scene enhances the characters' relationships with each other, enhances the fear, acts as world building. There's so much gold here, and I can't even say the movie was terrifying. I don't think this movie really scared me, aside from a few moments, but it didn't need to. It was just so captivating to watch. I cared so much about all the characters in this and how the plot unfolded. I think this is one of my favorite horror stories, where the directions the plot goes and how it's able to be so dark and so violent, and yet still have enough hope in there for you to want to watch what happens next and to root for these characters. I mean, there are peaceful, lovely scenes on this little road trip that they do, and it feels totally justified by the plot, and it builds your empathy towards them. I at some point I want to do a whole video just about this movie because I think it's a masterpiece. I think it's a classic example of how to balance different tones. I love the script and the directions the plot goes, and I like the kind of, I don't know. I think, oh, someone just subscribed. Hello. Either someone subscribed or someone gave me something. But I love how one character leaves the picture, and then when the third act happens, at least I subconsciously thought this would not happen if he was still here. You know what I mean? Like, that characters don't die for no reason. When characters die or persevere, it directly affects the plot. It's not just there to, like, throw some spice into the mix, you know? Like, everything is there for a reason. Every shot is there for a reason. All its plot points, make sense, and they add up, and it's fun to watch. Yeah, and as far as, like, a zombie film, it's one of the more plausible ones there. And, I don't know, I can't think of a single scene I don't like. I think my only issue with this movie is the younger actress. I think her performance is a little flat. How it works in the finale when she's on Valium, but when she's not on Valium, it feels like she's on Valium, if that makes any sense. I think it could have been a little bit better, but that's about it. I think that's my only problem with it, and it's not even a huge problem considering she's a pretty minor character. I think this film is just amazing. I can't wait to watch it again. I mean, you love a film when so many scenes, you can't pick a favorite scene. Is it the abandoned London? Is it, like the big action beat towards the end? Is it the tragic death of a character halfway through? Even a single shot of a car driving past windmills is still just stamped in my brain because it's the perfect amount of peace before the storm. A scene where a man wakes up from a nightmare and a guy says, "You're having a nightmare," and he goes, "Thanks, Dad," even though it's not his dad. The look on the older man's face is just so kind of beautiful and heartbreaking at the same time, and just little moments like that, little moments like that draw me so deeply into these characters and their relationships, and it makes the tension more intense because you want them to live. It never forgets to be a good film, and it never puts something in there purely for shock value. Everything has its meaning. Yes, Alexander, very true. Depth Strider, Train to Busan is absolutely a horror film. It's just not in my top 31. I think the main actor is not very good in that movie. He could have been better. The girl's amazing, but yeah, I don't think he was a little wooden to me. Anyway, yeah, I could talk about an hour. I could talk for like an hour about this movie. I could go through this movie scene by scene and just gush over it because it's just so well thought out, but it never forgets to be wild or intense or have a sense of freedom attached to it as well. It never stops being entertaining or it never stops to be entertaining or fun. And well, I wouldn't say that. I mean, there's definitely sad moments, but you know what I'm saying? Like, as purposeful and well put together as this movie is, it still feels gritty and rough and almost punk in its presentation and its pacing. So yeah, I don't think any, like, since we're discounting movies like Jaws and Silence of the Lambs, I don't think any other movie, I don't know if any other movie will top this, but hopefully one day one can. I would love it if a movie took this top spot. I'm always looking for great new films, but until then, 20 Days Later is absolutely my #1 horror film of all time. And if you haven't seen it, go watch that shit right now. Anyway, that is So that is my, yeah, those are my 31 favorite horror films. So now you have a horror film to watch every single day of October leading to Halloween. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Check out the Patreon link below if you want to support the channel. And comment with your own favorite horror films. And as always, thanks for watching. And that's going to be the end. Thank you guys so much for coming to my stream. I didn't think anyone was going to really care about my favorite horror films, but I love that people came. I love that people are commenting and asking questions. And yeah, you guys are great. Hope you guys have a wonderful Saturday. I'm not putting out a video tomorrow. I'm working on a bunch of stuff that's going to come out in October. I'm also moving, so it's getting like pretty crazy here. And yeah, but I should have something out hopefully next week. I'm working on a video essay about jump scares. I've been working on that for a little while. There's a montage video I'm doing. And of course, my yearly 6 horror films that are actually scary video will be out in early October. I have 1 slot left. I have 5 movies for it. So I just need to find 1 scary movie in the next like couple weeks. I think I can. No, I'm moving to the East Coast. I'm actually driving with my fiance and my dog across the country, and we're doing it in like 3 weeks. So it's gonna be an adventure. So there's a lot of unpacking and stuff to do. Another reason for me to log off right now so I can help out. But anyway, Depp, so glad you showed up. Everyone else is so glad you all showed up. You guys are amazing. I will update on Discord or in my posts tab on YouTube if I'm doing another stream before I move. Maybe not, but I will update. And yeah, as always, thanks for coming by. Hope you guys have a great Saturday. Yes, Noel, thank you. I don't know if I've seen that yet, but I will check it out. Thank you. Yeah, always check out the Discord. All my links are there on my channel somewhere. Discord, Letterboxd, it's all there. And always send horror recommendations my way. Always appreciate it. Hope you guys had some fun. And this will be for a video, and that'll be out sometime in October as well. Probably October 1st, right? 31 days. So October 1st, this video should come out. And yeah, that's about it from me. Have a great Saturday.